Hello, geometry students. So we're back here for our last session for chapter 11 today. We're going to be working with surface area and volumes of spheres. So I hope you have been keeping up. This will be your last assignment, and then there will be a chapter test, and we can probably do a review before that, day 2. So I'm going to turn it over to the slideshow for today's lesson. And we'll get started. So make sure you have your journal handy. And the journal today, you need to be on page 349 to start out. All right, so the warm-up says complete exploration 1 on page 349 of your journal. So go ahead and take the time to get that started. Go ahead and pause the video. And then when you finish, come back and we'll get started. All right, you have some vocabulary today. This time it's kind of a do-it-yourself vocabulary. This is on page 351 in your student journal. It says write a definition for each term based on the picture. So it shows a sphere. It's kind of, you have to imagine that this is three-dimensional. It shows a chord and then a great circle. And this here looks like it's a diameter, so that may help you in writing your definition. So go ahead and write down what you think the definition is for each of these terms. Go ahead and pause the video, write it down, come back and we'll check. Okay, we have a couple of formulas today. The first is for the surface area of a sphere. They use a capital letter S. A lot of times you'll see me use an S and an A for surface area, just so I know I'm talking about surface area. S seems a little bit vague. So surface area is found using the formula 4 pi r squared. R is the radius of the sphere. We can also find the volume of the sphere using the formula 4/3 pi r cubed. Notice it's volume, so we have cubic units, surface area, square units. And again, both of these formulas are based on radii. So if you encounter a sphere where you're given a diameter, you're going to have to first find the radius before you can do either of these calculations. All right, we're going to jump to some extra practice on page 352. So the first one asks us to find the surface area. So we're going to use our surface area formula. Let me grab my pen. I'm going to go pen here. And so we're going to use the formula. And again, I'm going to call it SA. So I'm going to write SA equals, and the formula is 4 pi r squared. Right? So our radius is 5 in this case. So I'm going to write 4 times pi times 5 squared. Now notice all these things that are right next to each other, the operation is multiplication. So I'm going to be multiplying these. So I'm going to have 4 times pi. 5 squared is 25. So one of the ways I can write this answer is to leave it in terms of pi and just write that my surface area is equal to 25 times 4 is 100 pi. So I could write it as 100 pi centimeters squared. Or if you want to multiply out the pi part, then you would have that the surface area is about 314.16 centimeters squared. Got my pen to write over there. All right, on the second one, this is one of those ones where I Told you, remember, our formulas are all in terms of radii, so we're given a diameter here of 9 inches. So if our diameter is 9 inches, that means our radius is half of 9. And you can either leave it as a fraction, or most of you I know like decimals, so I can call it 9.5 inches. Again, our surface area, we're going to multiply 4 times pi times 4.5 squared. Okay. Again, you can leave it in terms of pi. You can multiply 4.5 squared times 4, and that will give you 81 pi. Or you can multiply it out, and 81 times pi is about 254.46. And then we look at our units and make sure we put the correct units in there. So it's 254.46 inches squared. And again, you could have also had 81 pi inches squared. All right, number 3, this time it's asking us, it says, find the surface area of the solid in your journal. So sometimes you're going to encounter problems in this lesson where they say just find the surface area of the hemisphere, which means they're talking just about the top part. But in this case, on number 3 in your journal, it says to treat this as a solid. So I need to find the surface area of the top here, right, this hemisphere. But if it's a solid, then this is also filled in on the bottom. And so I'm going to need to look at that circle and add that to my surface area calculation. So a couple things to notice in this problem. First of all, the radius is half of the diameter. So the radius is 1 foot. And then we also have this hemisphere, which if the normal surface area formula is 4 pi r squared, the hemisphere surface area is going to be half of that, or 4 pi r squared divided by 2, which you can't really see that 2, huh? Let's fix that. That's a 2, which would make this equal to, that looks like a less than or equal to, which would make this equal to 2 pi r squared. So for the solid then, we're going to have that 2 pi r squared, that's the hemisphere surface area, plus we're going to have the area of the base, which is a circle. So that's going to be pi r squared for a total of 3 pi r squared is the formula we're going to use. Okay, so I'm going to switch colors here. All right, so we know that our radius, we said, was 1 foot. So the surface area of the solid is going to be equal to 3 times pi times 1 squared, which is 3 pi, because 1 squared is just 1, so 3 pi feet squared. Or if you want to multiply that out, it's about 9.42. Feet squared. Sorry, the pen got a little squirrely. All right, let's look at the next one. This time we're in question number 6 in your student journal. This time we're finding volume. All right, so find our pen. The volume formula again is, it's got that fraction in it, 4/3 pi r cubed this time. All right, so we're going to fill in what we know, which is the radius here. So our volume is going to be equal to 4/3 pi times 13 cubed. Now, if you're using your calculator, remember to get cubed, you push that little key that looks like this. All right, so I could type in 13, push a little caret key, push a 3, and that will get me 13 cubed. All right, so I'm going to do all that. I'm going to multiply all of it all together. You can either use your fraction key to enter 4/3, or you could enter as 4 divided by 3 times pi times 13 cubed. But you can multiply this all together. So let's see, I'm going to first write down, I have my 4/3 times my pi. My 13 cubed is 2197. Then I multiply that all together, and I get the volume is about equal to 9202.77. Okay, our units this time are centimeters cubed because we're dealing with volume. Okay, so I did 13 cubed multiplied times 4/3. That looks like a pi, but it's actually a 77. Okay, and that's the volume of the sphere. All right, on number 10, this time it says find the volume of a sphere, but it doesn't give us a picture, it doesn't give us a radius, but it gives us the surface area. So this time we're going to take the surface area, use it to figure out the radius. Once we know the radius, we can plug it into the volume formula and figure out the volume of the sphere. So surface area formula, remember, is 4 pi r squared. So I know 4 pi r squared has to be equal to 256 pi. All right, so I'm going to solve this equation. I'm going to switch pens here for a second. Okay, so one of the things I can do right off the bat is to divide both sides by pi, because they each have a pi. And the reason I want to do that is then I don't have pi left at all. So goodbye pi. Okay, so now I have 4 pi r squared. Oh, no, sorry. Let's cross that off. I just got rid of pi. I have 4 r squared equals 256. All right, so and then I'm going to divide both sides by 4. So those 4's are gone. So that leaves me with the radius squared is equal to, and 256 divided by 4 is 64. So if the radius squared is 64, then to undo something that's squared, remember, take the square root. We've done this lots of times this year. So the radius then, square root of 64 is 8. All right, so now that I know my radius, I can go over and find the volume. So the volume then is equal to 4/3, just using our volume formula, times pi times the radius, which is 8, cubed. All right, multiply it all together. And we get about, should make these a little wavy, is about 2,144.66 cubic inches. Okay, so hopefully this part won't be too difficult. Again, I'll probably set up a review session before the test. I hope to see you all do well on the test. Shouldn't be too bad. You don't have a final. This will be the last thing you have to do is this chapter test for this class. This is the assignment. Again, remember these assignments are in Schoology. For those of you watching the videos, you can just do the multiple choice problems in Schoology. So I hope it went well. Please email me any questions you have. Okay. Thanks for joining us. Bye.